The dad voice.
Yeah. Want to do a chaos episode?
Hey, let's just balls out.
I want to do just what an ADHD tangent looks like in real life and just have it captured for posterity's sake.
Oh, brother, you came to the right fella. Okay?
Yeah.
Because I'm all over the place. But I did say last episode that you were going to have to do some more talking.
Yeah.
So I need you to talk more.
Okay. I can bring some chaos, some
I hope
tangential thought.
But, yeah, dude, I think it's a good episode for us to just riff.
Yeah.
Start riffing, you know?
That's what all the Gen Z stand-up comedians do now. Is they just riff. They just do crowd work.
Just go crazy.
Yeah.
Riff it up, you know?
Yeah. I took an improv class once. You know, I'm ready to go.
Hey, you know, I mean, I was a theater kid in high school.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember that. I was.
Hey, with all due respect, you seemed like it. Just, I don't know.
No, I mean, yeah.
It was like in the last
good.
episode, I was going to say you seemed like you had a MySpace at a very young age. There's these things that I observe.
And boy, did I. Okay? Yeah. You know, I was a MySpace kid.
You're very much not new to this, true to this on social media and, you know, saying things. So I figured it would just... Maybe this was me being mentally lazy, but had a big topic that we were going to do, but I just felt like I hadn't really thought about it as much. And sometimes it's kind of fun to just let your mind wander, which is something that you don't get to do a whole lot when you're a dad.
Yeah.
And that was like kind of with the topic that we were going to do is like what changes when you're a dad. We talked about this, but something about the feeling of just scrolling endlessly. You don't have that as much, and you don't realize how much of like a weird mental vacation that is.
And I think it'll be good for us to do these kinds of episodes every so often. Maybe not like once every 5. Let's not set like a fixed time, but like if we ever just kind of get together to shoot one and we're like, man,
it's a brain dump.
I just feel like riffing.
Yeah.
You know? Just want to
feel loose, man. Woo.
Loosey-goosey.
The rigidity of having to follow a topic. Wow, it's gone.
Yeah, and to be fair...
I was a little nervous that we were just going to be staring at each other going...
So... we could do an hour of dad sounds.
Dad ASMR.
ASMR dad.
I actually did that the other day. I got up from the couch, and it was after a very physically heavy day at work. And Lucy got up too, and she went, "Ah!" And I was like, "Dang, do I sound that bad?"
Not a girl. No, I make dad sounds all the time, and like I hurt my back last year. I slipped 2 discs, recovered from that, and then now my back started hurting again this last week. And dude, every time I get up, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Or my youngest, he'll make like you ever get the dad indigestion where you're like or something?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Make a sound like that.
Yeah. The
yeah. He loves to copy those sounds.
I think my daughter does too. She'll go.
Yeah.
But then we're like, "Are you all right?"
Yeah. And then you're like, what the
don't fake those choking sounds. Please stop.
It's different for you because your body is young and spry.
Yeah.
Mine is shutting down.
Yeah. This is cultural appropriation, buddy.
Yeah.
You still got energy. It's
dad culture, bro.
Yeah.
I also feel like, dude, we gotta give ourselves and the audience some time to figure out who we are.
Yeah.
In this podcast setting, I know who I am on the day-to-day. I know who you are. You know who you are. But this podcasting thing is new. And, like, just taking a day to riff it up and, you know, party a little bit.
Yeah.
And just cut it up and let people realize. Because I feel like I get kind of heavy when I do stuff like this. But I like to think that I have a pretty good sense.
Guys, I'm fun.
I swear to God, I'm fun.
If we don't start having fun, I'm going to turn this car around.
So help me fucking God. We better have fun. Gonna have to cut the F word out of that.
First 10-minute rule.
Yeah, dude, YouTube's killing me with that.
Behind the scenes stuff. The things we deal with, man, we're so oppressed.
Yeah.
Our voices
Stop oppressing me.
As two white American men, we just are being constantly oppressed by the algorithm, and
it's so devastating.
I'm so scared that
happening
people don't understand sarcasm too, so I'll try not to do that too much.
But disclaimer, we obviously are joking.
Yeah.
Right? Like, two white guys doing a podcast is just run-of-the-mill nonsense.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, before we recorded the last podcast, I made it's sarcastic. It's just a joke, not a joke about us bombing Iran. That's not something to joke about, but just, I was like, this is a nuanced take on the whole thing. And I was like, I don't want, nuclear warheads in the hands of a government that has religious extremists in it, except my own.
Right.
And people are like, dude, you don't understand anything. I'm like, dude, I just said that I want nukes, like, for myself and myself only. Do you think I actually think that? We're not even sure if they had nukes or we're on the way to it, but doesn't matter. It's over now.
I posted like a little graph where it was like,
I'm like, do I look like I care enough to know what I'm talking about? Like, does anything about my page say that this is whatever?
And the funny thing about it is like, the president doesn't even care. He did that shit without Congress. It's fine. Like, we can joke about it. It, and you'll get over it.
What if it turns out that this whole time he's just been sarcastic with everything?
He's just been fucking off.
He's been sarcastic
the whole time.
He's like, I really thought Americans would understand the nuance of parody, satire, sarcasm, comedy. He's like, this whole experiment. He's like, I quit.
I keep trying to rev up the satire, and you guys keep supporting it.
Yeah, he's like, I can't believe this, dude. I was in TV for so long.
He's like, I had the Tony guy from the comedy show.
Yeah.
All right? Come on, man. But, like, it's... Oh, God. That's my dream, is that this is all just a big, giant satire.
You can always, like, pretend in your mind that it is, too. People tend to forget that you can actually delude yourself and think whatever you want.
Dude, I just noticed shit was getting bad when I was like reading Clickhole and Onion headlines and was like double checking to see if that was real news, because I was like, that could have happened.
Yeah. The line, I'm in like that subreddit where it's like, "R not the Onion," and it's just very much becoming just normal headlines you see. I'm like, did AI write all this?
And didn't the Onion buy Alex Jones?
Yeah, they bought it.
Hilarious to me.
That's a power move.
Yeah,
that's total power move.
But, and I can tell you right now, we're already gonna get like fucking labeled as liberals.
Yeah.
Liberals. Fucking liberal. Because there's only two parties, by the way. There's only two parties that can ever exist.
You can only think on one side of the road.
And if you don't support the yeehaw trying to recreate 1930s Germany side, then you're automatically a liberal. And I hate to tell anybody, their offense and defense are the same fucking team, Jack. Like, they are the same group.
Yeah.
And that's not even a political statement as much as it is just an observation. Like, dude, nobody has been doing right by the people for decades.
Yeah.
Centuries, in fact. Like, our founding fathers were tax evaders, dude.
That's how the whole country was started.
That's it.
They're like Al Capone, dude.
Yeah, like, but now you go to prison for tax evading.
That's not fair.
Funny how it works, isn't it?
That's not fair, and I do not do that and haven't.
But, like, that's the same thing. Like, everybody keeps referencing, like, the founding fathers and the Constitution and both sides. The left didn't give a shit about, I say the left of right didn't give a shit about the Constitution until it suited them, and the right doesn't until it suits them, and we're all just in this big clusterfuck. But, dude,
Dude, to me, the Founding Fathers are, like, practically fictional characters. Like, that was
Exactly.
so long ago, dude. They're almost like Neanderthals and caveman
And every
times.
time
Like,
somebody shares that...
they don't know the word Riz.
Founding Fathers didn't know anything about skibbity toilet.
Yeah.
All right, bro, I'm done.
It's so outdated.
Grow up, all right?
Yeah.
Get wise. All right?
Yeah.
Get cool. Freaking loser, idiot Founding Fathers. George Washington with his wooden teeth.
What kind of name is that?
Yeah, George Washington.
George?
My son's middle name is George.
George. Sorry, buddy.
Nah, he's a good
Sorry,
George.
unnamed child.
Yeah. Well, we're slowly leaking the names of our kids.
Yeah, in the off chance that one psychotic person watches all of our episodes and tries to piece together who our family is.
Yeah, there'll be, and I'm sure
People already know.
Yeah, I'm sure at this point.
Who's watching this? My mom.
Yeah. My wife.
Our mutual,
Skims.
hopefully, our mutual friend Daniel is still
Yeah.
invested.
Hopefully.
He said he would watch.
We got Tim. Shout
We
out
got
Tim. I don't know. Dude, I really do hope this, by the time we're recording this podcast has started to grow. I think that this will
So
also...
we can lose everybody with this episode.
Right. Just, honestly, I hope episode 3 blows up and we go viral just so we can drop everybody off at this one.
We are like, God, who's the comedian that everyone thinks is still alive? Not,
Ralphie May?
oh no, is there a theory that people think he's still alive?
I don't know. Some people think that,
So,
there's a clip, every time clips go around of him, I see in the comments section, people like, oh my God, how do you get famous? It's like, he's dead.
Yeah.
He's been dead for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah, it's been a minute. He was one of those earlier kind of big celebrity deaths. Well, I don't know if he was a big celebrity.
Physically big celebrity.
My brother and sister-in-law saw him at a show in
I'm
Hickory,
fat. I
and
can make that joke, by the way.
God bless him. I'm not being fat phobic, but in the middle of the show, it wasn't planned. He fell through the stage because it collapsed under him.
I feel like I remember hearing about that specific show.
Yeah,
Like,
and he did a good job of like trying to play it off, but he also had to go to the hospital, so it was kind of like,
whoops.
he tried to make it funny though. It just his body physically wouldn't let him.
Yeah, and then
The man was, I loved him.
he was
a good one.
gigantic, but he had comedy locked down. That was a good era of comedy.
He knew who he was.
Yeah,
He knew
I say
his
that was a
roots.
good era of comedy, but like, I don't. There's a whole, and I'll probably get yelled at or whatever for saying I don't care. Comedians were funny, and anybody, by the way, gonna riff here for a second and more of a rant, but like anybody who comes at anyone for enjoying comedy is a bullshit liar, right?
Yeah.
We were watching
yeah.
Dane Cook and the Chappelle Show and South Park when we were kids and young adults, and now all of a sudden the internet, like a few bold voices on the internet were like, that's not funny to me and here's why, and now all of a sudden you pretend like you were never a part of that. Shut the fuck up. Yes, you were. You're lying.
You were, yeah. That's my whole thing. It's like, I understand where you're coming from, but you were laughing too.
Yeah, dude.
Maybe.
We all were.
But-
I do not get Dane Cook anymore. When I was like 18,
Yeah.
I was like, this is the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Exactly.
Which
Like,
is stupid now, but I was 18.
at some point, it was funny to enough people to where that person was big.
Right.
That show was big, so.
And it's all about like what was happening at the time that it was big. Like it's not it. You look at their target audience and you realize that same group, the 18 to 25s or whatever, now as they're in their 30s, maybe even closer to 40s, they don't think it's funny anymore. Why? Because we grew up.
Yeah.
We evolved. Our brains developed. And people get so stuck on that shit. And I hate to say it because like I personally have a hard time separating the art from the artist on certain things. A perfect example of that, Louis C.K. I used to love his comedy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he got outed for doing what he does. And now those jerk off jokes that he constantly makes.
Yeah, you look
less
back
funny.
and you're like, oh, that
You're
was
like-
a weird admission.
Yeah. telling on yourself there, bro. You know? But it's okay. Like, people just need to realize it's okay to just, like, oh, yeah, I used to like that shit. Now I don't like that shit anymore. Okay, cool. Moving on.
Yeah.
Now, my ideal version of comedy is I Think You Should Leave. With Tim Robinson. Dude, that is peak comedy.
It has to be, like, it's like, I don't know, something about just the way you get dopamine. Stuff just has to be weirder and weirder now for me. And
but
like,
he is so, like, his delivery
like old stuff
is
played out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, this got to be something that blows my mind.
SNL, used to love SNL, doesn't scratch the itch anymore. I Think You Should Leave was, again, not just trying to, like, make this a whole episode about promoting Tim Robinson's show on Netflix, because we're not plugged by anyone. But if you haven't watched that, go watch every episode. It is, like, I haven't gotten the kind of laughs I get out of that kind of make you feel stoned.
Yeah.
In so long. And then I watched that and I was like, dude, this is peak. Like,
yeah.
This is just making me happy.
And when you watch that show, did your wife sit beside you and roll her eyes and not want to watch it?
And then she got into it. So she started...
My wife never did. She was like, no. And I was like, okay.
So there were a few where she was, and she would of course walk into like the Jizz Ghost one or whatever, and she's like, what the fuck? And then just kind of walks through the room and like not giving that any attention.
Yeah. Like,
and then I would like put one on the TV and like make her watch it with me and be like, watch this one. And there were, of course, like there's so much gold, like,
yeah.
And I think the one that got her was the Harley Jarvis episode. We're talking about babies and they're like, fuck you, Harley Jarvis. And she was like, she like chuckled and I was like, oh, you're hooked now. And she's like, all right, I wouldn't say that. There's a crack. Yeah. And then I just made her watch more and more episodes. And then by the time season 3 came out, when he did the one where it's the drive-through.
Oh, yeah,
and she was like, all right.
She's like, that is funny.
Yeah, and
there's some reasonably funny stuff in here that doesn't make me feel like I'm on acid.
But it's still like, it's trippy. Like, it makes you like, why am I laughing at this?
Dude,
but it's awesome.
There's like, you can look at what type of comedy people like and know like if they're, because I think like mental exploration and getting trippy, for a lot of people, they're like, I ain't doing that. No. And I think some comedy does do that, and that's why some people don't like it. They're like, I'm not going to that part of my brain that makes me think about my own humanity in that way. They're like, no. And it's just I don't know, it's something I noticed.
I know last episode we talked about like cybersecurity and social media and everything. There's got to be some correlation between the way we absorb comedy now and the social media, because like our attention spans are fucking dumb.
Oh, they're
like
dude,
short form.
Mine's gone, and I'll admit it.
Comedy has got to be like the peak now because of the fact that like none of us have attention spans. Sorry, I'm fucking with the chords and everything. None of us have the attention spans to like, don't get me wrong, I'll still watch movies. I watched Sinners the other night, which great movie, but it's like 2 hours and 10 minutes or something like that.
I couldn't do that anymore. I'll admit it.
We broke it up into 2 sessions, like because my wife, for me it's not about like I can marathon a movie, like I can watch it if I'm into it. The problem is it's got to be captivating pretty early on.
Yeah.
So if it can grab my attention early on, all right, I'm here. I'm with you. I'll watch the whole movie. Or if it's a movie, my favorite movies, if you can't tell, Dune, like the remakes. What the internet's gonna be divided on this. Fantastic. Those movies they're much more in line with what I had always envisioned Dune to be, like almost like a darker, more serious, less lasery Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I've read all the first 3. I need to read the other books, but like Dune was like my gateway into sci-fi. And without Dune, I wouldn't be into Star Wars. But I love Star Wars too. And those movies, now I more passively watch. Like, I'll put them on and do other things and watch them. Like, if I just need some background noise, because that's what ADHD brains are, I'll put...
Hopefully people are using this podcast as background noise,
I hope
too.
so, yeah.
A view is a view.
Yeah, hey, play the whole thing.
I don't need people to hold their breath on every word I say.
Mute your tab. I don't give a shit.
The first podcast made to be muted. Yeah. Just so no someone's in the background.
That's a promo right there. Yeah. I've ever seen one. But, no, hey... I totally lost my train of thought. This is perfect.
That's what this is for.
The ADHD episode. Oh, yeah. So I'll just play Dune in the background. Yeah. And, like, my wife will walk in and be like, what is going on? You know, there's Paul Atreides just fucking stabbing a dude with a Chris knife. And she's like, there are people fighting to the death on the screen. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a good scene. And then go back to work because I just, like, I don't know. I made some huge sacrifices when we started, like, living together. And one of those was turning off the TV at night. Okay?
Dude, that's growing up.
Disclaimer. I'm being sarcastic again. That's not a huge sacrifice. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
It is a huge sacrifice for some people. So growing up, like, you know, kids afraid of the dark. I think my brother and I just didn't like the feeling of being alone. And TV does give you, it tickles that part of your evolutionary brain where you don't feel alone. And so my parents realized that and they were like, God, these dumbass kids are not going to go to sleep without freaking TV. So they only let us watch the Food Network on mute as we fell asleep every night. But then we just ended up getting real into like Iron Chef and stuff and like staying up to watch that.
Dialed in your life.
Yeah, we're like, oh, bam, watching Emerald.
That's crazy.
I hear him saying bam from the room again. They're watching Emerald.
He did a pesto pasta. All right.
That was like our dopamine threshold. Now it's like 2.5 second videos that try to keep my attention.
See, so my mom, like, she didn't have cable. And my brother and I, like, our house was small, but it was like the upstairs was separated. And I had a room with a door because I was older. And he had a room that she eventually put in a door, but like his originally was just you walk up the stairs, you're in his room. And then it would end up that he would just come sleep in my bed with me most of the time because we were brothers. And
yeah, that's how we were too.
Yeah, the internet can make it weird or whatever, but if you had a sibling, you get it.
Yeah.
And I don't give a shit what weirdos on the fucking internet say. You're telling yourself more so than me.
Projection.
Right.
Never.
But we would always... My mom gave us a DVD player. She didn't get cable, but we had a DVD player or a PlayStation 3 at one point because my dad bought us one of those. And so we had like a nice collection of DVDs and we would just put on DVDs. And I remember just like waking up to the Anchorman special features menu playing when you're done. Or like we had stupid movies that were like... wild fever dreams to wake up in the middle of the night to the menu. Like did you ever see that movie The Love Guru with Mike Myers?
Yeah.
That shit was crazy. Justin Timberlake was like a French Canadian with apparently like a massive hog, and you would just hear people talking about like this French dude's giant crank. And you'd wake up in the middle of the night and you'd be like, where the fuck am I?
Oh, what's that?
It's just wild. But yeah, that's how we would just wake up in the middle of the night, and then every once in a while I would turn off the TV. If I woke up so late that the sun was starting to peak, I would just turn off the TV because I knew I could sleep with the light. It's fine, and I'll be up in a couple hours. I for some reason that was.
I made it through another night.
Right,
TV protected me.
Right from the vampires and werewolves.
Yeah,
but. If I woke up and it was like midnight or whatever, I just play the fucking movie again.
Yeah.
And go back to sleep.
You're like, we are not alone.
Yeah, and Mike Myers French
is here
Justin
to watch
Timberlake are here. But, dude, yeah, but yeah, so I had to get used to that, not sleeping with the TV on.
Yeah. Should have told her to get a I used to wear a sleep mask. I don't know why I stopped. I probably because I lost it. But the whole thing also with attention span in media is I try so hard to make my little comedy videos that are already very short have a punchline at the end. And I'm like, okay, people will be able to wait 6.8 seconds for the punchline, and then they'll be like, this video has value. They can't. I have to like do a mini punchline in the first like 3 seconds to get someone's attention. I'm like, now, you can't wait 7 seconds.
I feel like now you have to like immediately, like the hook has to be immediate. Like for your TikTok you're talking about, you just had to be like, the president just bombed Iran. Now they have your attention.
Yeah. Yeah, literally.
And like it
gotta scare them into submission.
It's just what we are now. Like, we as a
the
people,
offset.
It's that instant gratification.
It's funny and so scary, and I wonder how my daughter's attention span is gonna be. Because I mean, she's growing up with different types of media than we had, and our attention spans are shot. And I won't admit, dude, I haven't read a book in a long time. Like, I'm sorry.
I read books.
I haven't finished a book in a long time.
If you can't tell, like, I have, like, this is my bookshelf, by the way. This isn't just some random assortment. But, like, I have graphic novels like Saga. If you've never read that, it's a great series. I've got Dune. I've got what is this one? Fire and Blood, which is the Game of Thrones. And then I have Artemis Fowl.
Yeah.
Which was something I read in 5th grade. And then I have the what is it? The Heroes of Olympus with the Percy Jackson books. Like, obviously my library's a little outdated, but it's all right because down here, I don't even know if you can see this in here, but I'll move my coffee if you can. CCNA.
Look at that.
I was studying for my CCNA.
Applicable nerd stuff.
Thinking in C++. Greek myths. Minecraft mod development. Like, it's just nonsense. It's all chaos and nonsense and plastic bag trash. It's not even cool for, like, drugs. It was whatever.
Yeah, that's a very obviously had some hardware nuts and bolts in it. You can't even play it off as, like, a dime bag or something.
But, and then down here, again, don't know if they can even see it, but that's all my manga. Like, I don't have a very deep book collection. I would like to.
Dude, my favorite book of all time. I don't have money for that shit. Children's book that I read, When Zachary Beaver Came to Town. I don't know why.
Never read that.
It
sounds compelling.
It was about a morbidly obese child who was in a sideshow traveling around, and he gets brought to Texas and forms a relationship with this kid, and this kid's dad dies in war, and he finds out, and it's just very vivid. And just for some reason, I love that book.
Did you read Freak the Mighty?
Uh-uh.
Oh, dude, that one was a good one. That was like a kid that had like I can't remember what but his legs didn't work, and then there was this big dude, this kind of like me, not super bright upstairs, but just big, and, you know. And they, like, became best friends.
Like Lemmy and Mice and Men.
Kinda, yeah. Yes, I am Lemmy from Mice and Men. Thank you. That's
no problem.
Clarity I've been looking for my whole life. To understand who to compare myself to in pop culture.
Hey, happy to help.
But, no, I'm probably butchering the shit out of that story of Freak the Mighty. But I remember it was compelling. By the way, what the fuck is up with all the school reading that they had us doing? Flowers for Algernon? Like, was the ambition there to just go ahead and crush morale early?
I think so. I remember some book we read where it described how someone accidentally killed someone and had to cremate them, but they couldn't get the furnace in the house hot enough, and that's how I learned, like, that furnaces have to be, like, a certain amount to burn bone.
I don't know if you ever read A Separate Piece. I think that's the one. Is that the one?
It might be.
Where the dude dies from the bone marrow getting in his blood because they reset his broken arm or some shit like that?
And then I was just scared of that.
Yeah. I was like, I can't break a bone.
Yeah.
Because if they reset it, the bone marrow will get in my blood and I'll die.
Yeah.
And that was just what they gave me to read in 4th grade.
Yep.
Why?
They were like, take from that what you will, kids. What kind of thematic elements do you get? I'm like, I'm just scared of something new now.
is something you'll all remember when you get tangled up in the American healthcare system.
Yeah. They're like, hey, at least we can afford B2s.
Yeah, you know. We bomb them up.
Woo!
It's crazy to me. And whatever. All 5 people on this might have a different opinion. It's just bizarre to me that we are actively giving billions of dollars to Israel, who, by the way, has universal health care for their people.
Yeah, I'm jealous. It makes me mad. I'm like, man, I want that.
They just cut a ton of healthcare spending to give all that money to Israel and the billionaires at the top, and we still don't have fucking universal healthcare.
Yeah.
Only developed country without it.
I feel like you could just reverse psychology some of the politicians into maybe getting universal healthcare. Be like, well, we love Israel, right? Israel has it. Don't you want to be more like them?
The problem is we don't have enough Luigis.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm on a watch list now.
You are. Well, they already have your data.
I was going to say, I think I've been on a watch list the minute I started making posts about how, let's look at this Luigi thing from all things. By the way, Luigi, headline news, because he allegedly zoinked the fucking CEO of a healthcare company that is responsible for millions of deaths. An actual political assassin went into 2 different senators' homes in Minnesota, killed one and her husband, almost killed another and his wife. Like 6 hours of media coverage.
Yeah, they were like, don't worry, they're looking for him. What do you mean looking for him? They didn't catch him immediately? He had time to go to another house?
They're like, we found him. We learned our lesson from Dylan Roof. We didn't take him to Burger King this time.
Yeah.
We made him go eat at Arby's on the way to prison.
Yep.
And that was it.
And that's unfortunately, that was his favorite restaurant. So sorry. Well, next time we'll ask what their favorite restaurant is and not take them there.
And we're going to go somewhere else.
And
okay.
You know what I was talking to my wife about like last night was I realized that when I was a kid, I had a poster on my wall of B-2 bombers that I got at the Scholastic Book Fair.
Right.
And I was just kind of thinking about that. I was like, that is something, man. I got this like war propaganda from
weapons of war
from school. And I was like, this is awesome. Like acting like I'd ever be able to become qualified to fly a B-2 bomber.
I was just talking about the nationalism aspect of like what happened after 9/11. And that shit is wild to me. Like,
yeah,
we were so American.
I was into it too. Yeah, I was like, yeah.
Give me 1 second. I want to keep talking about this, but I need to make sure the camera's actually recording because it stopped showing on my watch. Okay, no, it is. Okay, we'll just cut all that out.
All right, cool. It was a watch thing.
Yeah. No, but there was so much nationalism after 9/11, and we were all just drinking that fucking Kool-Aid.
Dude, yeah, I was lying to kids at school, in elementary school, left and right. I was like, the day after 9/11, I remember being on the playground, and I was like, I just felt a golden raindrop fall on me, and there's no planes in the sky. Like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
What?
You remember that one song where there's I'm proud to be an American?
It made my hair stand up.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah,
dude. And then we got older and we realized that whole era of America made our lives so much harder. Like just, you know what? Crank it all the way back to Reagan and then everything past that just screwed our generation specifically. And 9/11 was like the peak of that, but we were it was
hyped. Like the big crescendo, the big show.
Yeah, and then they crashed the housing market and they ruined the economy.
They're listening to us make phone calls to our friends.
Yeah, like
they're like, is this middle school kid in North Carolina? What do you think he actually means when he's talking to his friend about this? Like, should we put him on a list?
And now we're here and we're just like, awesome. 9/11 really was the catalyst for a bunch of bullshit. And we were just so hyped about being American. I know people that I got really good friends that are in the military or were enlisted in the military, I should say. And when they went in, they were like, this is
Yeah, they're like,
I'm
man.
going to single-handedly kill Al-Qaeda.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go find Osama bin Laden and eat his heart. And then now they're out and they're like, I can't sleep at night because the gunshots in my brain won't be quiet.
They're like, they did not have us doing what we thought they would.
And it's like, well, can you talk to somebody about it? And they're like, no.
Nah, they
just
defunded
cut
the
a bunch
VA.
of VA benefits. So now I just scream in terror every night.
Yeah.
And it's like, thanks for what you did for America. Your trauma is your problem now.
Yeah.
And that should be our new slogan.
And that's what bothers me is like, even if you want to be cynical and do it from a practicality standpoint, you've got to take care of the soldiers after they come back.
Right.
Because it's a mental health thing. Like, if you want to just be practical and not, morally good, that it's just good to help somebody after they did something like that, like, you'd have, like, better function and stuff amongst them. Like,
and
it's a practicality thing.
It's
crazy to be able to speak that language.
That there is a significant enough percentage of houseless people in America. I don't know if that's the right term anymore. People without houses in America that are veterans. And the reason that is the case is because of all the trauma they brought home and couldn't get away from.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. And that's, like, I never got it because I had, like, adults in my life telling me, like, you can do something other than the military. Don't worry about it. And these were adults that had been in the military.
Yeah.
And I was going to enlist, and then I took the ASVAB or whatever the test is called, and I had to get confirmation about all the details because I was in a car accident the next day. Because what happens is, and it might be different now, and maybe my situation was unique, but I got a call about that. Hey, you scored this much on the ASVAB. We're going to take you. You go to MEPS, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
And it's your healthcare evaluation and everything like that. And what's supposed to happen is you get the call, like the next day you go do that, and then you ship out. Like, that's it. That's how it's going to go. The night I got the call saying you got to be at MEPS tomorrow, I was in a car accident and bent my leg in half. Like, it was done. And a couple people were like, brother, that's like a sign. You shouldn't go into the military. And I was like, okay, I don't have a choice now. They're not going to let me go to boot camp with a broken leg. So I just ended up going and figuring it out, like, working in tattoo shops and retail gigs and cooking in kitchens and stuff. But, like, I now look at some of the friends that have come back and they're just kind of broken.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not that they as people are broken. It's that, like, their psyches are broken and they're different. And they just, like, they still have their heart and their compassion and they're good people and I love them. But you can tell that a piece of them is still wherever the fuck they lost it.
Yeah.
And they're not getting it back. This got super heavy, but
it did.
The point is, like, it's just wild because, like, our generation is probably the last generation that'll give that. I really think, like, I'm telling you right now, buddy, if this war becomes like World War III and they start trying to draft people, you are going to see more defections than ever in the history of ever. Like, Gen Z and millennials will be like, yeah, I'll go over there, and they'll use that to get a plane ride to another fucking country and never come back.
And disappear and become some Italian guy.
Yeah, and that's it. And those countries are probably going to be like, yeah, come on, it's fine. Like, and like I've considered, because my mother is German born, my grandmother is German born and a German citizen. I could, if I go through the right channels, I could become a German citizen.
There's like a little technicality.
There's as long as your direct parents, one of your direct parents was born in Germany. Now, I'm oversimplifying it. Yeah. I'm sure, because any immigration process, any citizenship process is complex. But I'm just kind of like looking at shit going, do I need to go become a German citizen? Like, is that where we're at now? And I want to have, like, the nationalism isn't there, but the hope that, like, the America that like we were deluded into thinking existed when we were younger, I still have hope for that.
Yeah, the whole...
I want to see that exist.
Work one job,
right?
and
that
buy a house,
freedom,
and,
that American dream that was painted. I want to believe that that's there somewhere, but I don't think we're ever going to see it until we put more emphasis on the working class, until we put more emphasis on people and giving them what they need, because basic needs aren't being met. And the French did that, and then they got their heads chopped off. And I'm not saying I'm going to build a guillotine myself.
Yeah, but I don't trust my handiwork skills.
I just it's been a while since I engaged in any carpentry-like activities.
Yeah.
That being said, like, it is my responsibility to make a better life for my kids. So I got to fight where I can fight, and with whatever tools I can fight with. And it's a lot. It's heavy. And now we've gotten all heavy, and I want to, like, start riffing again because now I'm all bummed out, you know what I mean? And I'm talking too much again. We're doing this again. You know, I'm talking a lot. And I don't think they want to hear my voice as much as they want to hear yours. You're the funnier guy.
I know we got really heavy, and God, I do love dark humor, but yeah, it got a little heavy. And then, I don't want to be speaking on military experiences without having experience. And a bunch of people get mad at me about that. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm like, you know what? My thing is, I'll stay here. And I've got a house, and I'm fortunate in that aspect. It's not cheap. Don't have a lot of excess income and stuff, but I'm making some kind of dream work.
It's just crazy how many people the generation before us have like two houses, like a beach house and a regular house. Yeah, and it's just wild to me that. Oh, I was watching something and they were like. I guess like the trend now is that the same group of people that are first-time home buyers right now in this trend that are able to buy their first homes are also the same group that were the majority of first-time home buyers the generation before us. And it's weird because it's like now just the second half of that generation is catching up and they get that benefit, but like that looks really bad for us. Yeah. And we don't own our home. Like we rent this place. Cool. Honestly, like I get the want for home ownership. Like I want to own a home, but it's nice to not like if my AC fucking breaks.
Yeah, dude, that's the thing. I'm like, I have an old house too, and we were fortunate with getting our house in 2019, right before COVID. So, yeah, we do have that sweet mortgage locked in. So, and I look at like the prices of renting at places and stuff, and I'm like, oh man, if we hadn't have got this house in 2019, like we would be really struggling to survive. But we got it locked in right before all that happened.
See, I look up on Zillow like what the projected mortgage rate for this would be.
Yeah.
Versus like what I pay in rent. I pay like $600 over.
Yeah.
It's devastating.
Someone's got to make money. That's how yeah.
And like our house is owned by one of those investment companies, but like
yeah.
We were talking about last episode about how there's like no regulation on tech companies and data brokering and stuff like that. They're gonna have to regulate these companies that are buying single family homes.
We got to do another 2008 first.
Dude, let's burn it down.
Our government is like, you know what? I'm just like my citizens. I don't learn on the first time.
That's
it
right.
takes a couple.
Just
kidding. It's all by design.
I don't know enough about the housing market crash to know how we could recreate those results, but if there's a way, I'd like to do it because I really want to be able to give my kids something. That's it. And that's the appeal. I was just saying how like, renting's cool, but like having a house to give to my kids would be cool.
Yeah. Right. And
now
they can make do with passing down Fortnite skills.
Yeah, like you get my Fortnite account and my skins, which funny enough, my kid uses my Fortnite account. I did hand it over to him, and then I made a new one. And so
he like claimed it. He was like, hang on, Dad, my kill death ratio is I've got it good. Like, just make your own account.
At first, he was like, look at all these weird skins you got. And then he was like, dude, now I have OG skins. Because me and my wife started playing Fortnite together. I think she had just had him, or she was still pregnant with him when Fortnite came out. And which is bizarre that he now plays a game that is as old as him. It's just time flies by. But yeah, like I have like a bunch of classic skins on my account. And he's like
these relics of the past. Well, it's from like 2018.
He keeps going, these are OG skins. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? Tell me what you mean by that. What does OG mean? Like, because OG for us is like, you know, original gangster.
Yeah.
But like, I know it means original or whatever, but like,
that's what it is.
To me, that's just
etymology or whatever. Yeah. To you, you're like, what do you mean?
Well, yeah, like and
all this other stuff isn't new.
All right, yeah, these are just new skins, and he's like, no, these are OG skins. I'm like, I'm not old enough for it to be OG yet. Please stop.
You're 2018. That was 2 years ago.
And then
wait a minute.
And then I have to start looking at furniture and cars based on my comfort level, and then I realize, oh, they are OG skins.
Yeah.
It's another thing. We got to get a second car. I really need this podcast to blow up so we can get like I don't even need. I want a Toyota 4Runner. That's what I want.
God, dude, that would be awesome.
Perfect size. So just guys, like and subscribe until Toyota knows this is.
Yeah, my desire in cars has like changed so much the past few years.
It's crazy. Like
to me, like a 4Runner to me now, that's big time stuff. That's
big.
Sick.
That's big boy money. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't know how to drive a Lamborghini. Dude, I don't want that kind of stuff anymore. I just want.
So for the longest time, my favorite car was a Lotus Elise. Like I was just super into it. Like I loved the way it looked, and there's Lotus make super fast cars. Buddy of mine worked with an exotic dealership, and he said, "Hey man, I got a Lotus Elise down here. Do you want to come check it out?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You can drive it around for a little bit. Like we have a track we can take it to." And I was like, "All right, man. I'll meet you at the dealership." And I met him there. And for anybody who's never met me in person, for somebody who's just watching this, it might not realize, but I'm 6'6".
Yeah.
I'm 6'6". I'm 300 pounds.
You're not Lotus size.
Big fucking boy. Okay. And a Lotus is for 5'5" dainty Italians.
Yeah.
And I couldn't fit in the car. I couldn't drive it. It was devastating. And so I had to reframe. But I also don't want to drive one of those stupid fucking trucks that are just bigger than... Like, the people that drive them are also... Like, you have no business driving a truck that is 3 different cars. Like, stop. Stop that. And stop buying your stupid kids these death machines that can roll over other cars. Like, that's... Hot parent take? That's shitty parenting. Stop buying your kids these stupid trucks, okay? Like, I get it if you want to buy them a truck, a Ford F-150, whatever. If they want a truck, they want a truck. Stop giving them monster truck tires and letting them do that squatting bullshit where they can't
Which is illegal now, but people still do it.
Yeah, I see it all the
time. It's big in South Carolina where, like, half my family's from, and it's... I'm always been like, how do you see over the
Carolina
dash?
Squat.
It is. How do you see over the dash? I mean, I guess you do, obviously, because there's not pedestrian deaths every 5 seconds from them, but...
There's been a significant enough amount to make a law about it.
And then I'm scared if I get in one to just test my curiosity on how you see over the top, I'm going to all of a sudden want one, like, secretly.
I couldn't ever do it just because I think not only does it look stupid, but, like... The absolute lack of necessity that all those trucks have, and the fact that nobody, again, this comes out. I have a big bone to pick with regulation in this company as a whole, which probably makes me sound big government. But the only reason I'm like that is because we have let corporations run so rampant that they can produce shit like these excessively big. Why do you need to drive basically a semi without the trailer? Why do you need that? You don't.
Factor.
And then why do you want to give it to your 16-year-old kid? Like, why do you think as a parent? Because
it'll shut him off. Basically.
And good for, I mean, dude, whatever. Eat that expense, I guess, if you want. I could think of a million better ways to spend that money.
Yeah.
And The only reason that got popular is because some rich dickhead gave his kid a truck, and his kid was like, I just want to be different, and made a monster truck. And then his slightly less rich friend, but still wealthy enough family to get him that, was like, I want this too. And so they got into competition. Now everybody joined in. And then they have all these kids driving these stupid trucks that they have no business driving. That's a hot take, whatever. I'll get crucified. I don't care.
That's good for engagement, so I hope you do.
Stupid. It's dumb, and I hate it. Give me a 4Runner. A good, solid SUV, has off-road capabilities, isn't so massive that, like, cars driving beside it have to worry that they can't even be seen by this thing. It's a good...
That's the, like...
This isn't a plug for Toyota. That's just a good general size range.
I'll give a story about how I almost died in my Toyota last year, but that's, like, how you know your tastes are, like, maturing is, like, now I'm like, okay, I want something, like, back in the day, I'm like, a Toyota isn't a Lamborghini, but now it's like, I want, like, a Toyota with the top trim.
Right.
Like, that's how you know that it's like, oh, that guy's got something there.
Yeah.
Top trim. And it's a comfort, and yeah, last year I was driving my wife's Toyota Corolla, and I got T-boned at an intersection in a hit and run. Guy was going like 50 miles an hour. He ran the red light and kept going. Our local police department, insert their name here, investigated it for 3 weeks and gave up, even though they had the guy's license plate and everything. And it left a scar on my head and some brain damage and stuff. So, and also part of that, I'm really disappointed in, because you were talking about how you got in the car wreck before you were going to deploy. I've been waiting for like the whole like, oh, this car wreck like gave me my destiny, changed my life. Every day I'm like, hadn't happened yet. I'm starting to think that the universe is just chaos and it's something that just happened to me. But I tell you what, I was in a little Toyota and I got hit by a truck, and it was safe. I lived, and very much may not have. So the safety thing is, I don't overlook that now.
I keep looking for like my big moment because like half of me thinks like, and that's my biggest beef with like simulation theories. Is like,
I could go on for hours about that. I know we both could.
Yeah, but like I just feel like if we are in a simulation, at least make my simulation work for me. God damn it! Like, give me just a good economy to simulate into. Or
I'm not asking for much.
Unless human suffering is the way that the robots managing the simulation get their fuel. Like, do we secrete a special hormone when we suffer extensively?
The prison planet theory.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. But man, I'm just tired. I'm tired, and I want to just for once have it a little bit easier. Like, I don't want to be imprisoned under this scam that is credit scores.
Oh yeah,
dude, that's a whole episode. You want to talk about scams, credit scores, man.
Yeah, when something happens that's not your fault, that can affect a number like that. That's scary.
Dude, we had 2 lines of credit that were through companies, and they were our earlier credit cards. That's how we sort of started our credit. The companies decided to discontinue their lines of credit. That was the longest standing accounts.
Oh, so it fell off.
So it fell off of our credit history. And so fucking now our credit score takes a hit because they refuse to acknowledge anything that's not revolving. And I'm like, why is that fair? And why does that get to dictate whether or not I get to buy a new car or I get to buy a house?
They're like, well, you should have taken out more credit with us, and then we would have had more money and our company wouldn't have collapsed. So it's your fault.
Yeah, it's always gaslighting the consumer too, isn't it? But like, then there's like, you can't pay your credit cards down all the way, but if you let them run over, you're going to sink because of interest payments, and you're going to get behind anyways. There's no winning.
Yeah.
And like, the credit system is designed for wealthy people only. And I don't know if these mics are picking up the wailing of my son, but that's how I feel about credit scores.
Yeah. You're proving that you're a debt.
Man, this riff episode got heavy.
Yeah, I kind of figured it would. How the hell did we get to this? See, but then the cool thing about recording it is you can like pinpoint those moments where you diverge.
Where
like
derailed.
That's the cool thing about it, not just being a conversation that's not recorded. You can actually go and be like, that's where it happened. So, running back the game film.
And I mean, this isn't the worst thing I've ever recorded. I remember one time, me and my friends, like right after high school, I think we were 18 or 19, got our hands on some Ambien. And we forced ourselves to stay awake, and we recorded ourselves.
Oh, you did like a weird dream journal type thing with it?
If that's what you want to call it.
The awake dream?
It was the most bizarre and unhinged shit I've ever
Did you meet the Hat Man?
No, Hat Man. It wasn't Benadryl, so it was just Ambien. But if I ever meet the Hat Man,
yeah,
we're going to war.
The Hat Man he's scary. Yeah, I robo-tripped one time, and it felt like a dirty psychedelic experience. It was weird.
I've done several psychedelics.
Yeah, same.
In my life, and
it just felt not right. Even though obviously you shouldn't do drugs.
Ambien felt the same way.
Kids are watching.
Like I very like there was whole chunks of the scenario that I don't remember, but then like the pieces that I do remember, I can't tell if I'm fabricating or not.
Yeah.
Like that's how fucking weird it was. Other hallucinogens, I remember what I was seeing and what I was
and the
doing.
Realizations you have, and
right?
The changes in your thought patterns and stuff, and why? Yeah.
Ambien was bizarre.
Yeah.
It made me never want to take it for sleep aid either.
Yeah, because people will get up in the middle of the night, sleepwalk, and do stuff.
Yeah. And like knowing me, I would like go and walk down to the local church and nail the commandments to the door.
Yeah.
Thinking I'm Martin Luther or something.
But you just nailed like your favorite Fortnite skins onto the door. And people just go in there like, what is this? Rips it off and continues their day.
Print out to my credit score.
Yeah, you thought it was like the most important thing ever in that moment, but someone just comes up and rips it off and just opens the door.
And then they come to my house later and they're like, are you the Cole Hudson that posted this on the door of the church?
We'll be praying for you.
I'm like, I don't think so. Someone must be. And then
someone else with the same social security number.
I descended to a state of paranoia because someone posted my credit score on the doors of a church and I don't know what the fuck that means. Oh, drugs are bad.
Yeah.
Good conclusion.
I don't do those.
No.
I'm right now.
Yeah, I take a little. I mean, how? God, I think.
Well, I take my prescriptions.
Yeah,
that change my brain.
I think we have,
but those are acceptable.
I think we have sobriety on the schedule.
Yeah. To
talk about for an episode at some point, so we'll just hold it for then.
Yeah.
But buddy,
it's a pretty big topic.
That
pretty
is a big topic.
Big thing for both of us.
Yeah, and also for being a father, like I feel like that's definitely a worthy of its own episode for sure.
Yeah, when I think about like how I used to be, I'm like, how would I have like taken my daughter to the hospital or something if I had to? Like, I was in no condition to do that.
No,
most, if not all nights. Like
I just I sit there and I go, this has to have been why, like, I experienced it at a young age and then learned from it and was able to have kids after the fact because, like, dude,
I wouldn't have been able to manage.
And I'll save it for the full-on episode because, we'll dig in on that one. So this was a good, fun experience. I'm glad you said that to just go ahead and riff. And like I said,
just riff.
I think we do a little more of this. Maybe try to avoid getting so damn heavy.
Yeah. Could be one of those things where it's just comes by us naturally, though, and it is what it is. I get dark and heavy pretty quickly. For being like a person who's known as being funny, I do. Like, and I will.
Oh, I feel like most comedians have that heaviness on their shoulders and that darkness with them all the time.
Yeah.
But like, it's going to be worse for millennials. And like, I I know that like there's the whole generational war that is constantly happening, but like I really like you look at the numbers. I'm a numbers guy. Most of my views, my opinions, my takes on anything are driven by numbers. So statistically, millennials have gotten the shit end of the stick. Statistically, billionaires are running this country. Statistically, we are doomed. Okay, yeah. So like, I'm not just bullshitting when I say that. Like, I genuinely think millennials just carry that. But I think that's why we're funny.
It makes for good comedy.
I think that's why we're funnier.
That's the whole concept. The whole the very fine line between comedy and tragedy.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Suffering.
It is what it is.
Makes excellent humor.
It does.
It's the same concept as pressure makes diamonds, except the pressure is the mounting, crushing,
the relief of a laugh.
Reality.
Yeah,
and the diamond is that little nugget that helps everyone forget for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I hope we bummed everyone out enough.
Yeah.
I really, yeah.
Well, and maybe we didn't because we told everyone to mute it in the beginning, so maybe...
And hey, you know
good prognostication on our part.
We're just popping in to check and see if the episode's done and you can unmute your tab now and you're just hearing this. You missed we riffed, and we riffed good, you know? Bummed everybody out a little bit probably, but also I don't really think so.
Yeah,
because I think that most millennials and
everyone's aware of how the state of things are. It's a given. We're not saying anything new or groundbreaking. We're just acknowledging that we know this ourselves too. Like,
and it's
c'est la vie, baby.
That's it. We're just on this ride and we can't get off, and woo!
Yeah, you gotta throw in a woo every once in a while, and even if you're not feeling it.
Hopefully, by the time we get together to do the next episode or two, we still will be in a not bombed out United States of America. But
yeah, that would be good for
if this is our last
putting
episode,
out a podcast.
If this is our last episode from a house and not from a cave, you know, hey, God bless.
We can end this episode with that. Like, apparently CNN has that prepackaged like doomsday video that Ted Turner wanted them to do just in case the world is ending, and it's just like.
We should do that.
That'd be. We'll do that if we get bombed, if we have internet.
Yeah. If you see some weird, definitely end of the world seeming video at the end of this, just know that we're not coming back. It's been a great 4 episodes.
It's been a ride, man.
Yeah. But no, all joking aside, I'm enjoying this, even if nobody listens. Obviously, we want you guys to like and subscribe and share and tell your friends and your dads about this, but you don't have to. I think that we're going to continue to have fun riffing. And I think we're getting better at this. I feel like every episode something has improved. We added a backdrop last episode.
Look at that.
We've got some...
We're not leaning into one mic stand,
right?
Essentially,
yeah.
It's a little more independent, free moving.
We gave ourselves some freedom. Next thing I hope to have by next episode is some matching chairs.
Yeah. That'll look good.
Yeah, so we're rocking and rolling, you know, and we're going to continue to make improvements as long as we continue. All 7 of our subscribers are in for such a treat as we continue to improve.
I envy them.
All 7 of them.
I'm actually one of them.
So am I. So
all
5 of them. Actually, I may have subscribed from my son's account, too.
Oh, I think I subscribed from 2 accounts.
YouTube Kids, so he can't be, but... My wife.
You go and unlock that feature on his thing just so you can subscribe to our podcast, and he starts subscribing all this weird stuff.
He's got CNN in his feed now.
You're like, babe, it's for the art, okay?
And he's like, Dad, what's going to happen with the Israeli and Iranian conflict? I'm like, well, we're in deep shit, son.
Knowing me, I'd be like, those are made up countries. I don't know.
We're
the only country that exists.
This is right on the heels of me in the last episode saying I don't want my kid to be involved in politics yet. Oh, man. But, hey, man, dude, this was fun. I enjoyed this with you. And honestly, like, I'm totally for more riff episodes,
Yeah.
just because it's good to just shoot the shit with a buddy.
And sometimes your mind is already thinking about stuff that you're not aware of, and it comes out, and
buddy,
stuff that's important to you, and you don't realize it.
But yeah, I'm hoping people are enjoying this, and we're gonna start. I don't know if by episode 2 we'll have gotten it by now, but I'm hoping by this episode we've gotten the audio uploaded to a separate website so that it can be distributed to the podcast places.
Yep.
But just follow us, like us wherever you can. Like and subscribe on YouTube. That's going to be our main platform for now. If you see our shorts, TikToks, whatever floating around, share them. All of that helps us expand our reach. It helps us get in touch with more people. And it helps us find a reason to keep doing this, because I feel like if we
to do that.
Yeah, if we get stagnant, we're going to just be like, nah, dude, you're going to be like, I'm not coming back over.
We're both
house.
like 63 years old, and we're like, episode 3,491 is still like 7 subscribers. 2 of them still us.
Yeah, we got 7 of them. 2 of them are still us.
Our own kids aren't subscribed to us.
They don't share our shit to any of their friends.
They're like, that's not my dad.
No, yeah. And,
what's wrong, sweetie? Are you ashamed of me?
They're going to be like, yeah, I didn't tell any of my friends, so none of my friends can go, isn't your dad the dude from the Dad Voice podcast?
You see that guy that's been like shouting into the empty void for 43 years?
Crazy guy who just rants about everything. But no, I do genuinely enjoy doing this, even if it is for a limited audience, be it 7, be it 70, be it 7 million. I'm just having a good time, and that's what we wanted to do with this. So I'm glad we're still there 4 episodes deep. This is a month worth of episodes.
We did it.
Yeah, 1 month. Which is, by the way, for the ADHD people, they'll get it.
Yeah.
It's a big accomplishment. A month of this, we didn't get bored.
I wouldn't do a month of this like by myself. I would have found a way to give it up by now.
I would have just deleted
We're accountability buddies.
I would have deleted the page and acted like it didn't exist. And hey, by the way, God bless you, because I blow you up all the time because I have a lot more freedom with my job.
Dude, it's nice. It's nice to do something with someone who actually like gives a shit about it. Like, I'm serious. Like,
I just feel like you're like slinging packages 12 hours a day, and you're getting a text be like, hey, how does this mic stand feel for you?
No, it's perfect, because then like while I'm slinging packages, I don't have to like accidentally run over a child being on Amazon thinking about what mic stand works best,
or sending you pictures of like old beaten up easy chairs, like, hey, how do you like this piece of shit chair?
I'm like, great, one more thing I gotta lift today.
But no, that's I feel like once we get the chairs though, man, we're in like Flynn, you know what I mean?
We should do an episode where we both just fall asleep in the beginning and just let it record, and it just shows us like kicking every once in a while, or just being like,
dude, if I've ever heard of a promo video, that's it right there.
Dude, we should just both take a ton of Ambien. See what we say while we're unconscious.
And then we'll wake up and there'll be 4 hours worth of content and be like, the lizards are coming out of the walls to get me.
I'm like, is this something we should actually be concerned about?
And then there's just 30 minutes of us taking turns screaming as loud as we can.
It's like halfway through the Ambien trip, you wake up and realize that I drove home.
My wife comes in on the video and is like, why the fuck are you screaming? The kids are terrified. And then you just see her in the background packing bags and get the fuck out. Oh, the Ambien episode coming soon on your dad, on the Dad Voice. Oh my God. And I think if we have received any by next episode, we'll start doing the Dad Vice bit.
I do want to do that. I want to have something to joke about, but I also just genuinely want to try to help someone with something. Like, I might not, but I want to try.
And for Dadvice, you want to email the dadvoicepod@gmail.com. That'll be in the description on the YouTube video. And the email should be on all of our social media pages. But you want to just email us with the subject line Dadvice plus whatever you want us to talk about, and ask us questions, ask us to talk about specific things. Honestly, like, if it's a good enough thing, we might just say, hold that thought and commit a whole episode to it later. But for now, I just would like to get a few emails rolling in for Dadvice. You don't have to put your name. If you do want to remain anonymous, especially because we'll still be able to see your email address, but if you want to remain anonymous, just first line in the email, say, I would like to remain anonymous, or keep me anonymous, please. Something that tells us you want to be anonymous, and we will make sure you stay anonymous. And yeah, just send us questions. Send us subjects.
Shoot us something. We'll see what happens.
Send us hate and just make us read our shame out loud. That's something we'll do.
Yeah.
We have no limits. But aside from that, make sure to call your dad, call your mom.
Yeah, that's a good sign off.
Yeah, brush your teeth and get into bed at a reasonable time.
Don't abuse Ambien.
Don't abuse Ambien. All right, everyone. This has been the Dad Voice Podcast, episode 4. Bye, guys.
See ya, friends.